Yeah. Wes Watson was rolling through Miami, the sun bouncing off the polished chrome of his 600,000 Rolls Royce, turning heads as he passed. He wasn't just driving, he was making a statement. The car was a symbol, proof that he had conquered his past and was now living large, but fate had other plans. Flashing red and blue lights cut through his moment of glory, and as he slowed to the curb, reality hit. The officer approached, spotting the fake plates and missing insurance, and suddenly that throne of success started to shake. Watson barely blinked as the officer questioned him, his signature confidence still intact. He leaned back, casually explaining that this was just a misunderstanding, no big deal, I own 15 cars. He boasted this is just a mix-up. He pulled out his phone, calling the dealership, trying to shift the blame like a seasoned player in a rigged game. But the officer wasn't impressed, rules weren't up for negotiation. No matter how many cars, dollars, or followers, Watson had the weight of the situation started pressing down. Desperate to save face, Watson handed over proof of insurance, but there was a problem. The papers belonged to a different car. The officer flipped through them with an expressionless gaze, unimpressed by the attempt to smooth things over. Watson kept pushing, making calls, searching for a loophole to slide through. But this wasn't a courtroom or a podcast, it was real life, and Miami PD wasn't playing along. The gap between confidence and consequences closing fast. A tow truck loomed in the distance, its rumbling engine signaling the inevitable. Watson clenched his jaw, watching the situation spiral. He had built an entire persona on dominance, control, and refusing to lose. But today, the rules weren't bending for him. The officer made the call and the Rolls Royce was officially impounded. Watson paced the sidewalk, frustrated, knowing his argument had hit a dead end. The mighty car that had carried his reputation was about to be hauled away, leaving him stranded. The crowd gathered, phones out, filming every second. TikTok was about to explode with fresh content. Another viral moment in the making. Watson, the tough ex-con who preached discipline and power, was now walking literally down the street with nothing but his phone in hand. The irony wasn't lost on the spectators, and within hours, clips of him watching his car disappear into the distance were circulating online. The influencer was now the influence, caught in a moment beyond his control. As the tow truck pulled away, the Rolls Royce was no longer a machine of luxury. It was now just cautionary tale in motion. Watson strutted off, refusing to show defeat. But the internet had already made his judgment. In a world where image is everything, losing a car isn't just losing a ride, it's losing credibility. No charges were filed, no jail time awaited, but his reputation had just taken an unscheduled detour. Would this moment define him? Probably not. Wes Watson was a man who thrived in controversy, who turned failures into lessons, then lessons into money. He laughed it off, spin it into motivational content, maybe even tell his followers that this was just another test. But for now, the world wasn't listening to his version of the story. It was watching, commenting, and turning his setback into entertainment. The lesson was simple: money doesn't overwrite reality. No matter how big the bank account, the law stands firm, and when rules are broken, consequences follow. For all his bravado, Watson wasn't immune to the same regulations that governed everyone else. Maybe next time he check his papers, make sure his plates were legit, but knowing his style, he'd likely just find another way to land in the headlines. The Miami streets kept moving, cars passed, pedestrians went about their day, and soon enough, this would be just another wild story in the influencer universe. But the Rolls Royce sat in the impound lot, stripped of its status, locked behind metal gates like a fallen king. It was no longer a tool of power, just an expensive trophy stuck in legal limbo. So here's the takeaway: no matter how hard you flex, paperwork matters in the end. The loudest voice can't drown out the rules, and even the biggest success story can hit a bureaucratic wall. Watson walked away that day, still rich, still famous, but the real story was in the impound lot, where his Rolls Royce sat as a monument to misplaced confidence.